Welcome to this tutorial that explains how to use the Tigo Energy Intelligence app, or EI. After downloading the app and creating an account, it is time to sign in. As we progress through this video, keep in mind that some of the screens and selections may not be available depending on your access level and if you are using the free or premium version of the app. The dashboard shows all the systems assigned to your email address. If you are a homeowner, your system will be the only one in this list. However, if you are an installer, all systems associated with your company will appear. A lot is going on at first glance, but we will take it slow and begin with the user menu. This is the default view. Map shows all the sites associated with your email in a geographic area. The green Tigo leaves show installed systems associated with your account. If you are a homeowner, you will only see the leaf for your system location. You can switch from map to satellite view on the top left of the screen. Profile shows basic information about your login. This is also where you can log out of the app. The settings selection allows you to change the EI app language and provides the current software version. Help Center takes you to the Tigo Help Center, where you can search and browse for helpful articles about design, operation, and other Tigo product information. Lastly, Call Tigo brings you to a page to contact a Tigo customer success agent. On the bottom of this menu is the feedback selection that allows you to send comments directly to the software team. Although rare, you may report any bugs found while using the app. Now let's talk about your site data. Tap Installations on the user menu to get back to the dashboard. For users with multiple sites, you may set filter criteria by tapping the funnel icon. Once the criteria are set, you may sort in ascending or descending order by tapping the arrow icon next to the funnel icon. Remember, you must enter something in the search field before selecting the sort criteria icon. Let's go over the sorting options. System ID compiles all sites according to their system number. System name will use the customer or site name for the sort criteria. This may be useful if the customer's name is easier to find than the site ID. Turn on date sorts the site list by the date of commissioning, which is automatically set in the EI app. Peak power sorting is helpful if you want to sort by system size in kilowatts. City and country are the last two sorting options. For this example, we will search for a specific site ID. We can now see Mary's site. If you are a homeowner, then only your site will appear on the installations page. Once the site page loads, you will notice the site icons with arrows flowing between them. These arrows indicate the direction of power flow in your system. In this example, we see that the solar is producing 7.4 kilowatts. The solar energy is sent to the house loads, and any excess energy will backfeed into the grid. Sometimes, the arrows will flow to the battery, indicating charging behavior. Also, if the grid goes down and a backup generator is installed, the grid icon will change to a generator. The app will then display energy flow from the generator to the house loads, and even to the battery. Scrolling down reveals the basic charts for solar production, battery behavior, home consumption, and grid import and export. Each section has a bar chart and a pie chart view. Simply tap the arrow to the right or left to shift views. Solar production displays two values, solar base and solar reclaimed. Solar base is the amount of energy produced by the array. If Tigo optimizers are installed, solar reclaimed indicates the extra energy the optimizers recovered from the array. Battery usage and SOC display battery charging and discharging behavior. SOC is the battery state of charge, or how full the battery is. It is like the percentage value on your smartphone, and displays how much energy is left in the battery. As you use more battery power, the black SOC line will start to drop. As the solar, grid, or generator charges the battery, the black line will start to go up. Green lines mean charging, and blue means discharging. Tapping the arrow at the bottom of the legend reveals more display settings. Tap each setting to remove it from the display. This chart also breaks down the amount of solar power that charges the battery. Scrolling down to the Home section, we see a graph displaying the energy flow behavior for the home. The legend at the bottom of the chart has 3 information selections. Battery discharge is purple and indicates the amount of kilowatt-hours discharged into the home. This is directly related to offsetting your home loads using your battery. The grid import selection indicates how much energy you had to use from the grid to power your home. This is energy you paid for. PV production is represented as green bars and is the total number of kilowatt-hours fed into the home. Scrolling down one more time, we see the grid section. This chart details the amount of energy you had to use from the grid and how much energy your solar system sent into the grid. Below this last chart is weather information for your area. Now let's look at the icons at the bottom of the screen. The icon with 9 dots is the layout view. Tapping this icon will bring up the layout page of your system. This display shows the modules and other equipment entered during the commissioning process. This equipment varies by application. For example, you may see an inverter icon and a Tigo Cloud Connect Advanced icon. The right side of the display has an action arrow icon that reveals the display data menu. This customer has purchased the Tigo Premium monitoring plan that shows various display modes. The basic plan only shows energy, power, and reclaimed power. Tapping the gear icon in the upper right corner of the menu brings up a few more options for the layout display. You can change the direction of the sun as it moves across the screen to match the physical rooftop orientation of your PV array. Timeframe selection shows 1, 2, or 3 days worth of information. Background allows you to use either the default background shown here, or upload an image to replace it. Let's look at some features for the layout display. The first thing you can do is zoom in and out of the display using the zoom buttons in the upper left corner. You can also pinch 2 fingers on your smartphone display to zoom in or out. Use 1 finger to reposition the view. There are a few things to observe when looking at the array. First, the colored bar at the bottom of each module indicates the type of TS4 used in this monitored system. A yellow bar represents the TS4O, and a red bar represents the TS4S. You can see that even the modules show varying degrees of green. These shades indicate the amount of power produced, with lighter green indicating more power than darker shades. Sometimes you may see a gray or black module. Gray indicates a communication issue between that module and the communication equipment. This equipment typically includes the Tigo Access Point, or TAP, and the Cloud Connect Advanced, or CCA. This error is typically associated with loose wiring, bad wireless communication between the TS4s and the TAP, or a few other things discussed in this Help Center article also found in the comments section of this video. Black-colored modules mean the power output is very low or non-existent. This is common if you view at your system at night. In extreme cases, it could mean a potential PV module wiring issue. Now let's take a look at the advanced charts. Tapping the zigzag line at the bottom of the screen brings us to the Advanced Charts page. The legend in the upper right corner shows the different layers of the chart. You can hide this legend by tapping on the minus symbol. You can tap the date area arrows and go forward or backward 1 day, or tap the date to bring up a calendar. Below the chart area is the layer selection. It shows the same information points as the legend, but you can tap each layer to remove it from the graph. Tap it again to show the data. In this example, we will remove the inverter DC and the consumption layers from the graph. Notice how those 2 colors are no longer visible. If you prefer to display the data as bar graphs, tap the bar graph icon in the upper right corner. Tap the heartbeat icon to go back to the default display. Returning to the bottom row of icons, Let's look at system messages by tapping the exclamation point. This screen shows various alerts recorded by the EI inverter. Tap the alert for a detailed box explaining the alert and associated troubleshooting steps. Troubleshooting solar or energy storage systems should only be performed by qualified personnel as defined by the National Electric Code. Failure to do so could result in warranty claim refusal. Tapping the gear icon on the bottom of the screen takes you to the system settings screen. This allows you to view and change operating modes and test communication. Tapping Energy Battery Management lets you view and change the various operating modes. This system is configured for a backup application. In this mode, the batteries stay charged and only discharge when the grid goes down. Self-consumption mode maximizes self-generated energy from the PV system and the battery bank. It reduces reliance on grid power as much as it can depending on PV array size and battery capacity. The most important thing to remember about this mode is that it will only use solar production to charge the battery. It will never use grid power. You should monitor system behavior during periods of low sunlight, since this affects battery charging, which affects how much battery capacity you will have during nighttime hours. If the solar and battery power cannot sustain the loads, then you are paying for any power you consume from the utility. There is a slider that limits the depth of discharge. This value becomes a reserve in case the grid goes down. You would then have some battery life remaining since you did not allow the batteries to discharge to the low cutoff value of 10% state of charge. If you experience periods of bad weather and cannot fully charge the batteries, you may switch to backup mode or TOU mode to use the grid to fully charge the batteries. The last operating mode is time of use. This mode is a focused self-consumption, meaning it will only discharge the batteries during a certain period. This period, or window, is based on your utility rate structure that contains the peak rates. For example, if your utility has a peak rate window from 4 to 9 p.m., then you can use the sliders to create that window. Some utilities have multiple windows for mid or low peak periods. Use the Peak Period 2 slider to set this window. The last slider allows you to set a grid charging window. Select this box and use the sliders to tell the batteries when to charge using grid power. This window is typically set to a period with the lowest rate. The last selection is discharge. This allows you to set a battery discharge window when it fully discharges its capacity. This is useful for areas with export buyback programs. Tapping the back arrow in the upper left corner returns to the system settings screen. Configure communication is useful for testing the current internet connection or setting up a new connection. Lastly is the Edit System selection. This screen has 5 areas that were set during system commissioning. You can edit the information, hardware, or layout by tapping each box. Site information allows edits of the address and other site-relevant information. Select equipment edits the inverter and modules. Tapping the PV module selection shows the currently installed modules make, model, and count. Tapping Edit allows you to change the specs. You can even see the strings and the inverter MPPT they are connected to. Configure Layout allows you to change the physical position of the PV array modules. Use the icons on the upper toolbar to move, draw, or add text to the layout. The bottom row shows the number of CCAs, inverters, modules, and meters added to the system during commissioning. Your system may look different depending on your installation. System access is used to grant people access to the Tigo EI portal and app. Simply add their name and email address, and they can view and edit the information shown in this video. And lastly, tapping the green box at the bottom of the screen will display a commissioning report. This report provides a quick glance of site and installer information and a detailed equipment list of the site. And that's it for this overview of the Tigo EI app. If you have any questions, please contact us using the information in the video description. Thank you for watching.